Ted Cruz, in the meantime, intent on posing a challenge to Trump on Trump's home turf, saying he thinks he can do it in New York. Just moments ago, our chief political correspondent, Dana Bash, sat down with Ted Cruz right here in New York for a one-on-one interview, and here it is.
Senator, thank you so much for sitting down with me.
It's great to be with you, Dan.
I'm sure you've seen this. I'm glad you're laughing because the New York Daily News gave you a warm welcome. They actually gave you some helpful hints to take the F train and the U train.
Very helpful.
Very helpful. In all seriousness, when you saw this, what'd you make of it?
I laughed out loud. Look, I have never been popular with left-wing journalists or tabloids. And frankly, that's not my target audience. I'll tell you, the energy and support we're seeing. We just did a wonderful gathering here. I came to Brooklyn and baked some matzah and just spoke with the Russian Jewish community and the Orthodox community and Hasidic Jewish community. And the energy and enthusiasm we had here today was tremendous. And yesterday, it's interesting. Apparently, the liberal journalists didn't like me being there, but in the Bronx yesterday, I had the opportunity to sit down with pastors, sit down with Hispanic pastors, African-American pastors. It was actually an event that was hosted by a Democratic state senator, Senator Ruben Diaz. He's a Democrat, he's a pastor, he's African-American and Hispanics. And he invited me there, and we had a wonderful gathering of pastors agreeing that we need to stand for shared values. So the reporters may not be happy, but I'm much more focused on the citizens.
But in all seriousness, the origin of this, which, again, I'm glad you're having fun with it because it is a New York tabloid, is that you, several months ago, disparaged New York values. Now, I was upstate with you earlier today, and I'm well aware, and talking to voters there, that in upstate, they got what you were saying, that you're talking about liberals in New York City and that conservatives in upstate New York are quite different. But you understand how a soundbite is played and how your opponent is using it against you here. Any regrets in using that terminology now that you're asking for New York voters to vote for you?
Not remotely, because everyone in New York and outside of New York knows exactly what I meant by that. And it is the liberal values of Democratic politicians who have been hammering the people of New York for decades. They've suffered under these liberal values. It's been politicians like Governor Andrew Cuomo, like Hillary Clinton, like Mayor Bill de Blasio. Andrew Cuomo told New Yorkers, said, if you're pro-life, if you believe in traditional marriage, if you believe in the Second Amendment, there is no place for you in the state of New York. It was striking yesterday when I was meeting with Senator Diaz, a Democratic senator. He said, my own governor said there's no place for me as a pastor and someone who believes in life. I mean, that is a liberal intolerance, which the people of New York, I think, are tired of.
You talked about the fact that you are coming to talk to me now. We're sitting in a Jewish community center in an ultra-Orthodox part of New York. You just helped make matzah with young children. I've interviewed you a lot of places around the country.
Sure.
This is not one I expected, to be honest with you. Do you feel like you have been successful as a Christian from Texas reaching out to the Orthodox Jews in New York?
Very much so. We've got tremendous support in the Jewish community, tremendous support especially in the Orthodox community. I've been privileged to speak at synagogues all over the country, and in particular to focus on defending religious liberty, which has been a passion of mine my entire life, and focus on standing with Israel.
Coming here in New York, given the fact that you're campaigning in the New York Republican primary, is this how you plan to rack up delegates here, find pockets of support, like here in the Orthodox Jewish community or in upstate New York?
We are building a big tent and we're unifying Republicans. Nationwide, there are about 65 to 70% of Republicans who get that Donald Trump is not the best candidate to go up against Hillary Clinton, that he loses and loses badly to Hillary. And what we're seeing happening all over the country is those 65 to 70% of Republicans are uniting behind this campaign. We saw it powerfully in Wisconsin just a couple of days ago.
Okay, so no question you did very well in Wisconsin, and you should be commended for that victory. But
thank you.
Do you concede that at this point your only realistic way to get the nomination is at the convention? Not your only mathematical way, but your only realistic way?
Not remotely. Look, we have a clear path forward to get to 1,237 delegates. It's difficult. We've got to win, and we've got to win consistently. But I'll point out in the last 3 weeks, we've won in 4 states in a row. We won a landslide in Utah.
But now
nearly 70% of the vote. We got all of the delegates.
But now you're here in New York, and you're in third place, even behind John Kasich. You've got Maryland coming up. You're in third place in the polls. You need 88% of the remaining delegates to win.
Well, let's see what the voters say. You know, I actually think that the people of New York, particularly upstate New York, have an awful lot in common with the people of Wisconsin. Very, very similar. And what we're seeing happening across the country, what I hope we'll see in New York, is that Republicans will unite.
How actively are you working to convince? You have a good operation. You understand how the game is played. How hard are you working to convince Trump delegates to come your way on any second ballot, should it come to that?
Listen, we are working to earn every vote we can, every place we can. So we're competing in all 50 states. And we're competing, number one, to win a primary, to win a caucus, to earn those votes, to unify the party. Our focus is unity, bringing together conservatives, bringing together libertarians, bringing together moderates, bringing together everyone who doesn't want to see Donald Trump as the nominee and doesn't want to hand the general election to Hillary Clinton.
What about those who currently
wrapped.
do want to see Trump as the nominee?
Well, you know, it's interesting. Donald has had a floor of about 20-25% he seems to get no matter what. As he said, he may be right that he could go out on Fifth Avenue and shoot someone, and that floor would stay there. But he also has a ceiling. He has a ceiling of 35 to 40% that he has a very hard time breaking. The worst day for the entire Trump campaign was the day Marco Rubio suspended his campaign. Because what happened is over 80% of Marco's supporters came to us. And it unified much of the remainder of the party behind our campaign.
Sure, but I'm talking about looking forward to the convention when, if there is a contested convention, as you well know, the delegates are bound to whomever they're supporting initially. Then after that, in the second ballot, many of them are not bound. How hard are you working to woo the Trump delegates for the second ballot?
We are doing everything we can.
One of the things that could help you is if you had more support from your own Republican Senate colleagues. You do now have 2 endorsements, but given how much momentum you say you got out of Wisconsin, how much many of your colleagues really dislike Donald Trump and don't want him to be the nominee, why don't you have more support from Republican senators? You
know, Dana, I recognize that folks in the media focus on Washington, and you cover Capitol Hill. That's a natural thing to focus on.
They're opinion leaders at the convention.
What I can tell you is the energy and support we're receiving from the grassroots is overwhelming. And let me give you one of the illustrations of the unity we're seeing. We started out with 17 Republican candidates in this field, an amazing, talented, diverse field. Of those 17, 5 are now supporting our campaign. We've got support from Rick Perry, from Lindsey Graham, from Jeb Bush, from Scott Walker, and from Carly Fiorina. When you throw in Mike Lee and Mark Levin, that is the full spectrum of the Republican Party, the full ideological spectrum. And what we are seeing, that's the unity it's going to take to win the nomination. It's also the unity it's going to take to beat Hillary Clinton. And my focus is on beating Hillary Clinton. And poll after poll after poll shows Donald losing badly to Hillary, and poll after poll after poll shows me beating Hillary.
But to get the chance to beat Hillary Clinton, you know how it works, you actually have to be the Republican nominee. One of the things that my colleague Manu Raju in the Senate has heard from several Republican senators is that they probably would think about backing you and telling all of their grassroots activists to back you if you would apologize for saying that your Republican leader, Mitch McConnell, was a liar. Will you apologize?
You know what, Dana? This is why people are so frustrated with Washington. It's the inside battles back and forth. This isn't a game. This isn't about Washington power brokers. This isn't a smoke-filled room. If we want to turn the country around, let me tell you who should apologize. Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton should apologize to the American people.
Mitch McConnell a liar, not
They
them.
should apologize to the American people for 7 years of economic stagnation, for people seeing jobs going overseas, for wages stuck. Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton should apologize to all the single moms who've been forced into part-time work because of Obamacare.
So no apology to Mitch McConnell? Because it could help you.
Look, my focus is not on Washington. That ain't going to happen. And if the Washington lobbyists want to see that happen, they can hold their breath a long, long time. My focus is on the American people and uniting Republicans behind a shared values and a shared vision. Now, I will tell you this. I am happy to praise Mitch McConnell and praise him effusively for his stand, along with Chuck Grassley, saying we are not going to hold hearings on a replacement for Antonin Scalia. Mitch McConnell's doing the right thing. Chuck Grassley's doing the right thing. And I'm proud to commend them. I've done so publicly many times. They're doing the right thing and saying that Justice Scalia's replacement should be made by the next president so that the American people have an opportunity to vote and express their views. But we need to be focusing on the American people, not politicians bickering in Washington.
I know we're almost out of time. Just one quick moment that really struck me and a lot of people. At your victory rally in Wisconsin, a lot of your supporters were chanting for your wife, Heidi.
Yeah.
And she came up on the stage, and you had a couple of embraces. There seemed to be a lot of layers of emotion there. Yeah. What was going through your mind at that moment?
Well, I mean, listen, this has been a pretty amazing couple of weeks in politics. I never envisioned that my opponent would attack my wife, that he would go after my wife and my family. And look, Heidi is a rock. I mean, she is strong, and she's come through this unwavering. But it was when I recognized Heidi in our victory speech, the supporters there began chanting Heidi, and it was a powerful moment just to see so many people embracing her and saying thank you for putting yourself through this garbage, for enduring the garbage that my opponent has heaped upon her, and that was powerful, and it made me want to say thank you to her also. And it also made me think, and this is something I think a lot about the example Heidi gives to our girls. You know, Catherine and Caroline, they're 5 and 7, and they're seeing, number one, they see their mommy attacked by a bully and insulted and lied about, but they also see that their mommy stands up with a smile, and she isn't scared, she isn't intimidated, and they see the people rallying around their mommy. And I hope that becomes an example to little girls across the country that there's nothing that a strong woman cannot do. I said many times, Heidi's my best friend, and she is.
Senator, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate your time. Thank you so much.